Good morning. As promised, I'll be starting my series about traveling to Australia and how we uh, managed our travel to Australia. The first time we came to Australia, our road trip. And when we were planning our road trip, the first thing we were thinking of is like, how long do we want to stay and stuff? And we knew that we wanted to stay for around 6 weeks. Well, 6 weeks, we thought it's a very good time in Australia to see like everything what we want to see and stuff. But when we started doing a little bit more research, we realized that 6 weeks is actually not enough to see everything. Like we were thinking of Melbourne and Sydney and Brisbane and the Great Barrier Road, and we were like, it's actually not enough. But we thought, let's just look at the packages that you can get if you want to travel to Australia. And back then, from the Netherlands, they had these fly drive trips. So it meant that you were flying into a city, you got a rented camper van as well, and you had to be at certain location at certain dates, and then you would have sometimes a hotel, sometimes a caravan spot at a caravan park. But it was really set, so you couldn't change the locations where they stopped. You couldn't change the days, the amount of days you were staying at one spot. Like for example, if you wanted to stay longer near the Gold Coast, you couldn't stay longer in the Gold Coast because you had to be at the next stop for that hotel at a certain time, and you couldn't change that in the trip. So you weren't able to change the stops in your trips and how long you wanted to stop somewhere. So then we looked into just flying on one location and staying in that area. And we felt that if you would do that, it would actually, especially because we were there for 6 weeks, or we would be there for 6 weeks, that it would actually not be a good use of your time and your money. So after that, we thought, well, what if we try to create a fly and drive package ourselves? So that's what we end up doing in 2009 was that. So we bought separate tickets, flew into Brisbane, and we already had a camper van rented from a certain date, and we would fly into one city like Brisbane, and we flew out from another city, Cairns. And in between, we just travel, and we had, I think, 2 hotels booked. The hotels where we started in Brisbane and the hotels for where we would finish in Cairns. For the rest, we had nothing booked. We had like a overview of where all the nice camping spots, the different camping parks that you had. But what we actually had is that we started doing research further in what's in between Brisbane and Cairns. And where can we stop? What can we do? Back then, we were traveling with a 7-year-old. So we very purposely, why we selected that part in Australia, because we felt that there was more to see and to do in that section of Australia for us and with a child. Because Sydney seemed nice, and of course we wanted to see the Opera House and the bridge, but that was it for Sydney. So we felt that that alone was not enough to say, like, let's start our trip from Sydney and then all the way up. And also we felt that looking at the different fly drive trips that they had and all the itineraries and everything, it looked like you were going around in a very fast pace, and we already decided that we're not going to do that. We want to have fun, we want to see things, we want our daughter to have fun, and if we feel like stopping or staying somewhere a bit longer, we must be able to do that. So that's why we decided Brisbane to Cairns, and also because we knew that You will have the Great Barrier Road. You will have Fraser Island. You will have Noosa, town of 7070. So we chose for the smaller places outside of the big cities. And from there on, we would just start planning. So we made sure that we had a realistic itinerary, and a realistic itinerary coming from Europe and having done lots of road trips in Europe. A realistic itinerary in Europe and a realistic itinerary in Australia are two different things. In Europe, you always see the signs of, oh, there are deers, wild boars and everything, but you never see them on the road. In Australia, you see the wildlife, you see the wombats, you see the kangaroos. It's a little bit different driving, and we already decided that we're not going to drive at night because with your rental, it's just not worth the hassle if something happens at night. So we didn't do that, and we decided that we didn't want to have too long travel days, because traveling with a 7-year-old, we wanted to be able to stop if we could see a big rest area somewhere with a playground, so that she could get rid of some of her energy, play and stuff. But also if we saw something and the signs were pointing to a nice viewpoint, we also felt that we must be able to go and see what's there at the viewpoint, instead of having to rush because we need to arrive at that and that location. So that's actually what we did with the planning. So we did the DUI, we did our tickets ourselves, we booked a rental ourselves, a rental with all the insurances just in case, and we booked 2 hotels up front, nothing more, just 2 hotels, the hotel in the city from arrival and the hotel in the city from departure. And from there our adventure started. So in the next part, I will tell you our first impression of Australia when we arrived at night in July. See you in the next part.